You're listening to It Came From a Podcast, episode 28, and today we're talking about Netflix adding ads or promos, Star Wars Resistance, Magic Leap 1, I think, right? That's what it's called. James Gunn and Disney, and I guess that's it. Welcome to It Came From a Podcast. My name is Sergio A.M, and today I'm joined by Ricky Cassvan. It's been like about, 2 years now, I think.
Let me say my signature. What's up? Yeah, it has been 2 years. I was like pretending to dance. Like I couldn't hear any music, but I was like, I hope the music's playing. So I'm just like,
yeah, I was like, is he hearing that right now? Because it was a little bit odd.
I was praying. I was like, man, I hope the audio didn't go out, and I'm just looking crazy, just going like that.
It's a catchy tune, so to speak. But yeah, so we're back after a while. We had an episode. You saw the last episode. It was, the audio. There was an issue with the audio, so we're gonna redo that episode and just do a focus on. I think it's gonna be YouTube drama because it's just so fun for us. But yeah, so we have a few things we want to talk about today, and sort of to get back into that groove of things. So I'm just gonna start off right away, and it's the first one we're gonna talk about. Yeah.
Can we give like a quick 1 minute history lesson? Because I feel like this is like a monumental kind of thing for us, for you and me, because it's been 2 years. So I think we should briefly talk about what we used to do and how it came about and what we're doing now.
Oh yeah. I mean, so this started 2 years ago, like over 2 years ago now, and it was sort of like to see how we can format the show and how to set up templates and get used to the whole live thing and how we're gonna do it. And my thing with podcasting isn't that it's going to be a famous popular podcast as much as it's like ham radio and just a way to document what our thoughts are on topics like this. If we get an audience, great. If we don't, well, we're still doing it.
True. Yeah, no, it's good to be back. It's 2 years. A lot has happened. I know you were about to have a kid when we stopped doing it. I've had a kid since then, so a lot has changed in these 2 years since we stopped doing it.
Oh yeah, we're now in dad mode, full dad mode.
I'm in a whole different city. I'm in LA.
A whole new world. Love that song.
Whole new world.
Love that song.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll probably do another episode as an update to talk more about that and get in, behind the scenes about it. But one thing I wanted to talk about, because I want to keep it short, is Netflix, because this just happened, I think last night, or was it a few hours, like 16 hours ago?
I read about it last night.
So they're testing ads. Now, the thing is, it's not like advertising like Hulu. When you watch Hulu and there's an ad right there, or like, actually, I don't think there's free plans anymore. Is there, right?
No, there's not. I think it's that standard $9.99 and with ads and then like $12.99 or something like that.
Yeah. You pay and you still get ads. Now, the thing is, these are promos. So it's like, let's say you're watching a show or a movie on Netflix, and halfway through, you'll get cut off, and it'll show this promo, like, when you go on Netflix and it's like a live trailer kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be something like that, and some people are already experiencing that. How do you feel about that?
It's weird because today's Saturday. On Thursday, I was having a conversation with somebody about. We're wondering how long it would be before Netflix starts showing ads, because I feel like it's just been inevitable. The way that the market is kind of leaning toward, and then this came out yesterday. I mean, right now, because it's their own stuff, I'm not 100% against it as long as it's something quick, and I think it plays before the show starts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no! I mean, they're not pre-roll. They're added in between your show. It's like supposed to be like an ad, as in like, hey, let me cut you off right here and show you what we have in store for you next.
So I remember when Hulu first started, they kind of gave you an option. It was like, hey, do you want to see like a minute and a half of commercials at the beginning and not have your show interrupted? Or do you want to kind of have the different ads dispersed throughout the show? If if I were Netflix, I would do it at the very beginning because I think one of the cool things about Netflix is you have uninterrupted viewing no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think if you start to have viewing that's interrupted, it's going to take away from the Netflix experience. And I think it's going to piss off a lot of people.
So I agree. First off, binging was like something that became mainstream because of Netflix, right? Like, watch whatever series you want, episode 1 to the finale without any breaks. That's what binging is to me. You can still binge, of course, with ads. It's just that ads give you that break, which people will pay to avoid. So I'm curious if this is a way for them to push their other plans, which, by the way, not everyone knows that Netflix has more than one plan. Now, they have the 4K plan, I believe is the second plan. And the idea being that if they put ads on the first tier, would people be willing to, pay more for 4K and no ads or no promo or interruptions, so to speak? I feel like that's where they're going with this.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be because realistically, if the ads they're showing are for their own shows, I don't see how they're gonna make revenue from that. It's gonna keep people interested in keeping the subscription, maybe, but I can't really see them. I mean, and with all the streaming services coming out now, and like to have to pay for like a higher tier price level in order to not get ads, and I don't know how it's gonna play out.
It sucks to see it because normally what happens is you're gonna these businesses have to make money somehow, so they end up paying. They end up adding paid tiers, or they end up doing something to either push their own content or make more money in general. So that's what's happening here. I don't want to see that happening. We have another episode coming up where we do talk about streaming and where that whole thing is heading. So we'll talk about that in another episode, but I did want to bring that up because there's an entire Reddit post about this and people are not happy. And the funny thing is that these are not like ads like if you're watching news, like CNN or something, you're going to have like 15 ads just for drugs within 30 minutes. So It's one of those things that it's not that bad, but I can easily see if that goes from a beta test to live, and then it can turn into like, hey, buy some random drug for, that has to do with whatever depression or whatever it is.
I did read that at least for now, like they're based on an algorithm on what you. So the promos that you will see will be for shows that are similar to things that you've watched in the past. So it might have some effect on people keeping subscriptions and people checking out other shows. Netflix is super secretive about how they make revenue and stuff. So I have, God knows how all of that is affected. And I know that they put so much into their originals that like I've read that they haven't even actually like they're not making money from their originals yet because they've invested so much. So, they're very secretive. Yeah. So who knows?
They're spending billions on, like all these new shows that they're making. And sadly, I don't really watch their original content that much. You can tell it's turning into a platform that's all about their original content, but
which I think is awesome because I do watch a lot of their content and a lot of it is money, man. Like they have some really, really good shows. I mean, Marvel stuff aside, Stranger Things, House of Cards.
No, of course they no, but I'm saying like it seems like they have new stuff weekly, almost. Yeah. And I don't watch all of it. I only watch the big hitters, like the AAA kind of. So to speak.
I feel like I don't even watch non-Netflix stuff on Netflix anymore. Like the only things I'm watching on Netflix now are like Netflix originals.
Yeah.
I don't even watch movies or anything on there anymore.
So just to keep it simple and wrap this section up here, if they do add ads, are you going to keep your plan or are you going to cancel?
If they are internal Netflix ads, like for other shows, I'll keep it. I don't mind that. I'm never going to cancel Netflix. So either way, they're gonna have my money because I like their shows. So it's just a matter of juggling between plans and seeing what plan I want to stick with.
I will say I don't think my family uses it to the point where it's justified. There's moments when we pay the $10. Actually, I think it's $11, $12, something like that now, and it's months go by and we don't use it. So if they start doing this, I will cancel, but only renew to binge, because that's the smart play if you think about it. If you use it that way, so. That's my opinion on that.
I think that's what a lot of people do. Like they'll wait for like I don't know Stranger Things. They'll binge and then they'll cancel it.
Yeah. Okay. So next, I want to talk about Magic Leap. Okay. So this is a little bit odd because Magic Leap it's here in Florida, super secretive, huge investors. You know, if you look at the building, it's a gorgeous building. You know, tons of talent in there. The brand was interesting, the idea there, but they finally released the Magic Leap 1 Creator Edition, and you know, let me say this: a lot of people are very, very upset here. They were teasing so much about what this was actually going to do. They had a CGI video they had before that they teased on how this would interact, how you'd interact with these things happening in front of you in whatever environment you're in. And then people started testing the Leap 1, and it sort of fell flat. Like, it's not that impressive. You saw it, I'm guessing. You saw the videos out there.
So yeah, on August 8th is when they announced the Magic Leap 1, and at that point I guess they had already invited a bunch of like journalists and stuff to Plantation, Florida, to their headquarters. So when they announced it, like a bunch of people put up videos and stuff, like The Verge and stuff, and the general consensus that I've seen from everybody who's actually like touched it and experienced it is that it's cool, but it's not. They didn't see anything that was mind-blowingly revolutionary, like what they were hyping it up to be. Like, they were the general consensus was basically that Microsoft's HoloLens can do everything that the Magic Leap can currently do.
Yeah, I mean, there's some differences, of course, but my thing is it worth jumping onto that? Well, this is meant to entice creators to make content for that.
Right.
For
it's
that
a
product.
creator. It's a creator edition. So
yeah, but the thing is, it's $2,300. Like, who's willing to pay $2,000 for something that, I mean, it's brand new. There's almost nothing on it.
I'm wondering. I feel like they should have, and maybe they did. Instead of selling a creator edition, they should have just sent out a couple of them.
Of course. That's what people are complaining about, because normally that's what you do. Maybe
they did, and
I wouldn't be surprised if they probably sent to some really huge companies.
They're so secretive. That's the problem. Like, that's why, like, I don't want to be quick to judge either, because there's a possibility that they're hiding stuff from us that's really, really cool, and we just don't know it yet, and they didn't want, because they're tweaking it or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. I've been super intrigued by that company for such a long time, and yeah, I can't wait to actually play with one of those things and see what it's all about.
I'm curious to see where it goes, because that's not the consumer edition. That's supposed to be for, developers to start creating content for it. Like you said, these should be handed out for free. I'm sure they have and probably have not mentioned it. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It looks sort of cool. I'm not sure if I like it or not. I told you it looks like World of Warcraft engineering goggles, because I mean, that's what it reminds me of.
I like the look. If you look at the Verge video, they actually shot the original prototype of the headset. Oh, and it's like this huge. It looks like the helmet that Wayne Zielinski wears in Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Yeah. It's just like this huge helmet.
It's like Weapon X, like Wolverine style,
so
kind of stuff.
I'm glad they slimmed it down and stuff. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool that they have, like, they created I think probably so it's like a little mini computer that attaches to your belt.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to be plugged into like a big computer. They created their own OS, Lumen OS, I think. That's supposed to be geared for like spatial awareness and spatial audio and a bunch of stuff. So, I mean, it's exciting. It's it's definitely the future. It's just do they have anything that's revolutionary and mind blowing that?
It definitely feels like a version 2 product where I jump in at that point, because right now though it's just way too pricey. I need to see way more content on there to know whether this is just like a fun little VR headset kind of wannabe thing, right? I know it's not VR, of course, but it's weird. So let me say it's weird. It's pricey, and I have no idea where they're going with it. But I can't wait for the second version, which, by the way, the first version isn't even out. As I said, this is just for developers. So we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll get back to it at one point.
Before the one thing I did think was cool that I don't think the HoloLens does is that they have which is very Ready Player One-ish. I know that they have like a live avatar chat kind of thing within the Magic Leap, where like you can like hang out with other people's avatars and like talk to other people and stuff. So like that kind of stuff is cool. That's the kind of stuff that I want them to like gear toward, like partner up with Facebook. You know what I mean? Because I know Facebook was working on their own stuff. Like partner up with them.
They have Oculus, and I feel like they're not gonna want to.
That's right.
That's the problem now, is that you have so many people competing with one another that you're not gonna see collaborative efforts as much.
I think Google invested in Magic Leap though. So
they have huge investors. That's why it's so odd to see it, released like this. Now, look, I will say, I'll give them, just real quick, I'll give them credit for slimming it down, because people, when they first saw the prototypes, people were like, okay, that's it. This is dead in the water. They got a disc-shaped kind of computer pretty much going on that goes on your belt. You can put it on your belt, in your pocket, whatever. So that's fantastic. It's just that it doesn't look that impressive. So we'll see where it goes. But for right now, call me a skeptic.
There's one feature that I think is really cool, and I think is going to be a big selling point that I don't think any of the other headsets have. It has a lens insert for people that have prescription glasses, so you don't have to wear the headset over the glasses. You can just drop in like your prescription lens, and then you're fine. That's awesome, especially for people like me. I think that's a big selling point for me. So that if that price comes down. And if it's not,
if the price, look, I think under $1,000 is the goal for a majority of VR headsets out there. This is being, a different kind of version of that, but we'll see where that goes, because right now it's just not consumer friendly.
Yeah, that thing alone will sell me though, like personally, like the whole lens insert thing. So
we'll see when the consumer version comes out, and then we'll touch on that again.
Magic Leap, send us headsets.
Yeah,
and we'll test them out.
Okay, so next up I want to talk about James Gunn, because I mentioned this before, but this seems to just keep going. Like it doesn't, they don't drop it. I don't drop it. I don't want him to go away. I feel like do you like Guardians of the Galaxy to begin with?
I'm so scared to talk about this topic because it's going to be controversial, and I feel like if you talk about it, you're going to piss off either one side or the other. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that was the first Marvel movie for me that was like, man, this is something totally new and something totally different. It felt like Star Wars when I watched it, and which is all, for me, was obviously amazing. And he's such a big part of the DNA of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think that's why there's been such an like backlash and stuff, is because it's so hard to picture Guardians of the Galaxy without, even though like the first movie, I know that he co-wrote, but there's still so much of him in that movie, in those two movies. It's gonna be so tough.
It's definitely a style and a vibe that I feel is extremely unique. And the thing is, I think it's what worked best for that cast of characters, because a lot of people did not know about Guardians of the Galaxy, and if you think about it in the comics, it's just a bunch of like, hey, look, we have this hero and that hero, and let's just shove them together and hope for the best here, or make something fun.
It's a group of people. It's a group of ragtag hero, or not heroes, a group of ragtag individuals who they're all seeking redemption. Which it's ironic because it's kind of mirroring what's happening with him right now. We're not defending those tweets. Those tweets are horrible. But he put them out years ago, and Disney was aware of the tweets when they hired him.
Yes, and this is the same as Roseanne. That's what people are comparing it to for a good reason.
Right, and I think, to me, you can't compare it because Roseanne has a long history of things like that, and Roseanne made the most recent comments under the employ of Disney.
Yeah.
Those comments were not made by him under the employ. Disney was aware of the comments before they even hired him. He's repeatedly in the past apologized for the tweets, and so it just I don't want to get political, but this was all brought to light by Mike Cernovich, who's this right-wing commentator. James Gunn has been very vocal about the current political climate. He's defended a lot of people who are anti our current president, and it turned into a witch hunt.
No, I mean, it was as simple as like, it was a hit on him. That's all it was. You can tell because they went after old content. They saw what happened with Roseanne. They're like, hey, look, this is a big guy that we want to take down. And that's exactly what happened, to keep it simple. Now, the other thing too, though, is that a lot of the fan base stood up for him. Including me. I mean, I don't, it's not like I was protesting or anything, but the point is that even some of the cast, like you had Chris Pratt, Zoe, Dave, Bradley, all of them were signing this letter saying that they were, supportive of him. Not saying that they supported what he said.
Yeah, I want to bring up Dave Bautista. So he, as soon as it was announced, this is why he's awesome. He right away tweeted how it was like not right. It shouldn't be happening. The rest of the cast, they were like, you could tell they were scared to talk about it when it first came out. He was like, I don't care what happens. This is not right. I'll talk more about it later, but this should not be happening. And this all happened at Comic-Con. So they were all at Comic-Con while the news was announced. So like they did not do any interviews or anything. So I props to Dave Bautista for being loyal and like not being scared to speak out. Whereas the rest of the cast, yeah, they spoke out, but they took their time with it and creating that open letter. He's like, I'm not defending what he did.
To be honest, because he's not like what you would call the main star here. He's not even really that well known in Hollywood compared to his cast members.
And I think that's why he didn't. That's one of the reasons why he's just like, whatever. Like, I don't care. I'm not gonna filter myself this.
And look, I love Drax, man. Drax is amazing. I think even Infinity War made him even more lovable. So, and he's a huge like meme character if you think about it. But the thing is, recently, I think this is actually yesterday, he says he wrote a tweet that says, "Thanks Disney, making America great again," and that sort of sums it all up right there.
That's because it came out. So James Gunn met recently with 2 days ago, I think, or 3 days ago. He met with the chairman of Disney, Alan Horn, who's the person who really started the whole firing thing.
Yeah,
and basically out of that meeting, it's James Gunn will not be rehired for Guardians of the Galaxy. They may still use his script.
Yeah.
That's kind of the rumor going on, but he will not be directing it. Like, I think people had high hopes with like the petition has like 335,000 people the last time I checked. Like the open letter from the cast wanting him to be reinstated. A lot of people all over the internet and media, famous people, non-famous people, like wanting him to be reinstated, and Disney's like, we're not doing it. So look, Star Wars fans went after Last Jedi. They went after Solo because of Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I think that Disney's going to see something similar with Guardians of the Galaxy. This is going to be.
Oh yeah, I mean.
It's going to have the least ticket sales out of all the movies.
I wouldn't be surprised because Solo's a great example for dude, who does not like Solo? Han Solo. I mean, he's just known as one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I'll argue it all day. Solo's a great movie. Solo's a better movie than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just so you know, I haven't seen it. I've heard good things about it. I'm gonna watch it. I did not want to watch it in theaters because I was just so upset about a number of things. The casting for me sucked. I didn't like the casting. I'm sure they'll be great when I watch it. I just did not agree with it, and I felt like a lot of the times they were not listening to the fan base, and that's what's happening here. A lot of the fan base is voicing their concerns that this is just not the right move, and it sets a precedence for what's going to happen in the future here.
Yeah, and it's weird because as much as I want him to be, I can't argue with the fans boycotting that. Like that's if people are consumers and they want to repeat ticket, you know what I mean? So as much as I don't want like it to reflect on the franchise as a whole, because it's an awesome franchise, like I think if they do see the low ticket sales, it will. Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
They'll take that into account, and they should use it as a learning experience. This probably should have been handled differently, at least my opinion. I think they could have given him a big slap. Again, I'm not defending the tweets. The tweets were abhorrent. But
yeah, of course. I didn't know about them until I saw that. So until this came up.
If Disney didn't know about the tweets beforehand and it was just coming to light, I would. You know what? You want to fire him? Fine. But the fact that they knew about the tweets and hired him anyways, and then backtracked it because of right-wing commentators, like that's what I have issue with.
Yeah, and I mean, this is also being compared to the Roseanne situation, and I want to keep it short here, but Roseanne made some, she's known to be a little crazy on Twitter, and that's exactly what happened. She just kept it up after Roseanne aired, the latest episode, I mean. So what happened
she never stops.
No, yeah, so people were upset that Disney brought her back on, knowing her history, not even her history. She was just like this forever, and now...
There's literally a picture of her dressed as Hitler, wearing a Nazi uniform with gingerbread cookies, about to put them in an oven. Come on.
Trust me, I get it, and I get that she can say, hey, look, I'm just messing around, but clearly to a lot of people it doesn't come off that way. Now with Gunn, it's a similar situation in that, oh, we're gonna cut off any ties we have to him because of this kind of crazy past, because due to fear of what fans would say, but it's sort of backfiring here. But anyways, so I brought that up. We'll mention more about that later on because I'm curious what they're gonna do. I really don't know what they're gonna do here. But what's your opinion here? Are you for Gunn? Are you upset about what happened here? Or I mean, because look, I thought they were going to bring him back because there was such the fan base and the cast was extremely encouraging about that. So I was extremely disappointed when this week they said that it's a no-go. They're not bringing him back. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I think their best course, keep the script, because at least if you keep the script, a lot of his DNA will still be in it and it'll still feel the same. And then there's only one person who should direct this movie, and that's Taika Waititi, he's the guy who directed Thor.
Yeah. I agree.
The last one, it has, his tone is not so far off from what Guardians is and was. And I think James Gunn consulted with him when he was directing Thor and stuff too. So to me, he is the only person right now that could direct that movie and have that movie still feel like Guardians. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they do. That's the smartest move, and I guarantee you that Gunn is going to be involved in some way behind the scenes. Almost guaranteed.
I read that there's still an option for him to come back and direct another movie at some point, just not Guardians. Again, makes no sense to me, but whatever.
The thing is, they don't want to lose him to WB. Like, they don't want to lose him to DC, and if they do, I'll tell you what, I'm going to watch that DC movie, like guaranteed.
I can see him making like a Justice League movie or something along those lines. So I don't know. We'll see. It's just a sad situation. And what I'm scared of is the precedent that it's going to set for other other companies, moving forward. Granted, if people say things that are messed up and abhorrent, they should be penalized, whatever. But like, I don't know. This situation is just like, it's so specific, and it's just, I can see both sides of the argument, and that's what makes it really.
Yeah. So on live chat, some say JC was saying that Batista said he would drop out if Gunn was out, and that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he's ready to just be like, screw it, I'm not in.
Somebody asked him on Twitter. I was on Twitter last night. Somebody asked him and he said that he would fulfill his contractual obligations, but he wouldn't be happy. Yeah. So
let's be honest. If he did drop it, that's I mean, look, I would miss Drax, but also, that's a lot of money down the drain over something that, you don't want to leave your cast as well. That's the other thing, too. You're abandoning them, too.
His star is rising. He was in Blade Runner. So career-wise, it wouldn't be a smart decision. But I'm glad that he's at least being very vocal about it and expressing his.
Man, I appreciate it, yeah.
His distrust, yeah. As a fan, it's definitely appreciated.
All right, so we did bring up Star Wars, and we're going to bring it up again because we got a trailer for Star Wars Resistance. And this is, this was odd. You mentioned it, and I didn't click right away, but this is not on Disney's new platform. This is going to be on Disney Channel.
So the premiere is going to, they're going to do what they did with Rebels. It's a 1 hour premiere. It's going to air on Disney Channel, and then all the following episodes, I think, are going to be on Disney. Disney XD. So it's a 1 hour premiere, Sunday, October 7th at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific.
So, I will say I love that they're actually going places with Star Wars in animated form, because it reminds me of DC animations, like animated movies, right? Where they take on those stories that they're afraid may not work that well in a live format, like in a, what's called, with, I can't even think, in theaters. So this is awesome to see. I'm probably not going to watch this right now just because I'm burnt out, but I'm surprised they didn't push their new platform, like their new streaming service here. But that might be a season 2 thing. What do you think about that?
So, hey, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so there will never be a Star Wars burnout. I think this is the last Star Wars property that you'll see on TV like this. Jon Favreau is working on a live action show.
Yeah.
That's going to the platform. By the way, Dave Filoni, who's one of the showrunners of this show, I think he kind of dropped that it was called Disney Direct at Comic-Con. I don't know if that's the final name, but he called it Disney Direct by mistake. So that might be the name of the platform.
Hey, I'm fine with that as long as it's not Disney Now, because everyone's doing the Now thing and it's aggravating.
Yeah, I think that this show will run on TV for its lifespan. I'm sure we'll get this after they're over on the Disney streaming service, but I do think that it will air on TV for the run of its lifetime run, and I think it'll be the last property that does.
Yeah.
So like Clone Wars, the new season is coming out on the Disney streaming service. So yeah, I do think this one will run on TV.
As for the story, do you think it's interesting enough for it to have its own series?
Yeah. So Star Wars Resistance.
It's just a tease, by the way. I mean, it's just a trailer.
Yeah. It takes place before Force Awakens, and it's Poe Dameron. It sounds like he's trying to get this guy. I think his name is Kazuda Xiono, who's the main character, and he wants him to infiltrate this, or not infiltrate, but basically do recon at this I guess this ship or whatever, and see who they can recruit to the Resistance. I think it's really cool because it's an unexplored time period in Star Wars history between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens that we haven't yet. You have Poe Dameron in the show, which is cool. So you have one of the bigger characters on the show, which I think will help the show a lot. And any time when there's a series that's exploring history that we don't know about in Star Wars is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, remember, wiping out canon leaves a lot to be wanted, or it just leaves a big hole that people want. That sounds horrible. I was gonna say a big hole that people want filled, but that's what it is. People want to see these stories be fleshed out and explored. So I'm curious where this goes. I'm glad to see they're still using the property in an animated form, because that's how you get kids into it again. It's tough to get some kids into Star Wars, especially if they don't know what the story is. There's just a lot going on.
I'm excited because now that I have a kid, this might be the first kind of Star Wars thing that I get to watch with my kid, because she's already watching cartoons and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to experience this with like my 1.5-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So yeah, it's really exciting, and like Star Wars animation has been amazing. Rebels was from a storytelling perspective was incredible, and what it added to the Star Wars mythology and to the lore was just mind-boggling. And Dave Filoni, the showrunner for both, and he's co-showrunning this one with Amy Beth Christensen, who also worked on Clone Wars and on Rebels, and he's such a good storyteller that I know that it's going to be good.
Yeah,
it's just he's so, and it's funny because I found this out last night. He worked on The Last Airbender, and this has a very similar style, animation wise, to that. So I know a lot of people aren't happy with the animation stuff trailer, but I think that the story will more than make up for what people don't like about the animation. I think it's cool.
You have to let it, you have to give it the few I say give it 5 episodes. You'll know whether you like it or not. I'll definitely give it a chance. My thing is that, like I said, I'm glad they're exploring this property further, but I feel like this is going to be something that eventually pushes on to the streaming service that they're coming up with, and this is just serving as a tease about it. So I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm excited about it, but I do want to say that we're also going to do some more Star Wars stuff, because there's always Star Wars news. And by the way, Claudio, the last time we talked to him, we want to do like a Last Jedi episode just to bash it, because look, I love Star Wars, but that was one of those movies that I walked away from. I was like, okay, I need to talk about this. So I know it's late, but we need to do something. And look, I'm gonna find ways to defend it as well, because that's only fair.
I watched. I'll give you a quick recap because we haven't spoken about it. I watched the movie. As soon as I watched the movie, I was super convinced that. And then on the drive home, I kept like picking it apart, and I was like, man, I kind of didn't like that. So there's things that I like, and there's things that I don't like. What I don't like is how much it divided the fandom and how toxic the Star Wars community has gotten because of it.
I agree. Yeah.
But I mean, there is some stuff in that movie that I'm just like,
I know. Why? Trust me, it's tough, because I tried to defend it at first. I was like, no, it's good. But then I was pissed off about stuff. So
there are things that I like as well.
So listen,
and I still watch it. Like they have it on Netflix. I still put it on every once. We can get into that in another.
Yeah, so look, we are going to have an episode on that because I do have a lot of people who are very heated and want to talk about it, and I think it's worth revisiting, especially now that I don't know if it's died down really, but, the dust has settled, so to speak. So we'll talk about that.
I think that Resistance and Clone Wars will do a lot to kind of put Star Wars back into good graces with people, especially Clone Wars. People are super happy that that's coming back. So I think, and with JJ back for episode 9, hopefully it'll course correct itself and we'll have a good community again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I'm sure we will. We just have to fix that dent. Anyways, so we're gonna have another episode for HoloNet, which is sort of like a series on just Star Wars alone here on It Came From a Podcast. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, we'll get, because there's a lot of content out there right now, so we will do that. And I do want to do a Last Jedi episode where we just let it all out, and it's going to be like therapy. So I think that wraps up this episode. Anything else you want to add, Ricky?
There's one thing we got to do that we used to do. We got to do Thing of the Week.
But that's what I was going to say. I don't have anything for this week. It was a tough week.
I have one. Should I do the song or no?
I don't know. I forgot it. I don't even have it here. Look, hold on. Here's the air horn. Okay, that's an air horn, but that doesn't. I guess that counts for something.
I used to do a song. I used to go, is it Thing of the Week, the Thing of the Week?
And that's, you know what? I had a calendar event from 2 years back about going to the studio to record that. But anyways, what's your Thing of the Week?
So I discovered it recently. So I moved to LA last year, November of last year, and I moved right at the time. I'm a big TV person. A lot of my shows were on, so I fell back on a lot of TV.
Yeah.
Like all the DC CW shows. So I'm trying to catch up before the season started again in October. And I was like, man, how can I speed up my binging? And I found an extension it's called Video Speed Controller, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. On for Chrome. And I can anything that's HTML5 video,
yeah,
it lets me speed it up. So I've been watching everything at like 1.72 times the speed on Netflix. Of course.
Well, on average, I think almost everything that I watch, that if it's something I've seen before or something I don't care much for, Game of Thrones, for example. Look, I'm not saying I don't care for it. I'm just saying I was new to it. We were going to do a podcast on it. Remember that? I had to watch the entire series.
I think we did do a podcast on it.
Yeah,
it was a roundtable.
A roundtable, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to do it. I had to watch the entire Game of Thrones, like every season until the last, just to talk about it. And I had to watch it sped up. Otherwise, I just wouldn't be able to make it.
Yeah, also having a kid, you don't have the same.
Yeah, but also, YouTube does that now. Like you can speed through it, so that's a huge.
I know, but it was cool to have on Netflix because I can binge faster. Yeah. Whereas, so yeah.
So Thing of the Week for me, there's I can't stop in my head here, but this happened last week, and it's Dead Cells. Like I brought it up earlier. Before the podcast, because it's a really fun Metroidvania game. It's available, I think, on multiple platforms, but I'm playing it on the Switch. Awesome game. The idea is that you're the cell who takes over a dead body, and you're just running through these randomly generated dungeons. Now, what I've learned, or I'm learning or doing right now, is sort of rushing through it without trying to die. And because if you do, if you go through these dungeons fast enough, there's an extra corridor that opens up that has a timed door. If you make it to it, you get, all these extra things inside. So it's fun. I suck at it. I can't get past the third boss, but I'm hooked on that game. And the best part is it takes like 5 minutes. You sit down for 5 minutes and you can get a lot out of it. So that's what I love in games right now as an adult. So
before we go, and I think it's on topic, Silver Yami asked on the group chat, they asked, will we get a Star Wars game on the Switch, like the Starkiller game? So for Force Unleashed, do you think we're gonna get a Star Wars game for the Switch? Period. I guess.
Well, my thing is I've given up completely on Star Wars games because of EA. I think EA is a terrible company when it comes to gaming. They've proven that. Okay, I'm not just talking crap. And when they gave Disney, was it Disney? I believe, yeah. They gave Disney gave them the Star Wars property exclusively. I gave up on those games. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure they're beautiful games and they might be fun to play, but I hate the idea that a single company, and one of the worst in gaming, is handling that property, which I love so much.
And it sucks because I remember when Battlefront 2 came out, people, oh man, EA is gonna learn from what they did the first time around with the first one, and right before the game comes out, they're like, oh, we're gonna do pay to play thing again. Like if you want like for like multiplayer, you have to buy crates and stuff, and like it's sad. It's sad because the content of the game is good. Like the single player campaign.
I'm sure that's what I'm saying.
Too was good. And then there was another. They were working like on and it sucks because it's also EA is like the publishing company, so the actual company that's developing the game. It sucks because like it looks bad on them, and it's not their fault that EA does things like the way that they do.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they're a business first and foremost. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And, you take it something from Blizzard, for example, who's owned by Activision now. Blizzard puts the game first, and the business side of things, of course, are first in the business side of things, but it doesn't come off that way. It comes off like there's a lot of heart in the games. EA, for example, the problem here is that they're gonna have to either create other studios or just make a majority of their pipeline about Star Wars. Now, instead of giving it to an indie who would have used it correctly, I don't know. I'm super upset about it, and I've given up on hope when it comes to Star Wars games.
I think that we will. I mean, we are going to see other Star Wars games that are not from EA. And I think at that point, I think we will see games on the Switch. There's
guaranteed because it's a moneymaker right now.
Yeah, there's I forgot what it's called now. There's a show. I think it's called.
I'm sorry, you cut off. What was it?
There's a show on, I think it's on Disney. It's called like Star Wars Adventure or the Freemaker Adventures, and it's basically geared toward like a younger audience. Yeah. And I can totally picture them making like a Nintendo-based game for that. I think we'll see a game for all the platforms, Switch included. I think. It just when is the question. I think.
Oh, of course, yeah. I'm not. Like I said, I've given up. I'm not even gonna care anymore. If Disney severs that contract, says, hey, look, you can make games but not exclusively, I'm completely all in on that because I need to support that game. And that's what I do now. I'll support games that, let's say they come on the Switch and it's a risk for that developer. I'll buy the game if I like the developer and I want to see more of their games on that console, because that's how they make those decisions. So right. We'll see. If EA releases something on there, I don't know if I'd consider it. I'm pretty sure I've given up on that completely, but I'm curious to see what they do. Anyways, that sort of wraps up the episode. We talked about 4 things. We wanted to sort of get back into the groove of things here, and that's what we did. I want to say thank you guys for watching. This is going to be pushed onto its own YouTube channel, its own channel, I guess. So make sure to watch it and catch it on there. We're just hosting it live on It Came From a Box. But any last words, Ricky, until the next episode?
It's great to be back after 2 years. I can't wait to do it again. And
we have a lot to talk about. I mean, it's been 2 years, so we'll see.
Yeah. So I'll see you soon, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you guys for watching, and whoever's listening, thank you guys so much.
Thanks.